Welcome back, guys. This is Matt from Jaggers Brewing Co. Today we're going to talk about Mr. Beer Kit. So, I've always been a little interested about these Mr. Beer Kits. My first brew kit was from the Northern Brewer starter kit, and I wasn't even really aware of these Mr. Beer Kits until I had already been brewing extract with the Northern Brewer kit for about a year and a half or so. So I started hearing about these things, and I was curious about them, but not curious enough to like really seek one out or anything like that. Then I started seeing some people doing some pretty cool things with the fermenter and whatnot, and a lot of people that I've known, they got started with the Mr. Beer kits, and it was one of those things touted being like super easy to get into, super easy to do, makes a fairly decent beer, and all that. So it was pretty close to right around Christmas time, and my wife and I, we were walking through a Target, and they happened to have one of these elusive Mr. Beer kits sitting right on the end cap, and it was something stupid cheap. It was like $25 or something like that. So I was like, I'm gonna pick this up. I want to brew with it, and I want to see what it's about. Now, having already had a starter kit from like the Northern Brewer series, and already be pretty into home brewing as it is, I already had some stuff here to complement the starter kit that I got. Mine just had the fermenter, as you see here. It had the extract kit, the instructions, and that was pretty much it. I know there's a few other kits out there, like the more complete kit that has the bottles and stuff like that, but that wasn't available. I was kind of interested in maybe like those PET bottles that, you know, I saw some of these kits come with, but at the end of the day, this was right there. It was cheap enough. So we went ahead and picked it up. I brewed that beer. It was a crazy easy brew day. I was kind of amazed at how quick it went. It was something that I could just put in a podcast, and I had it knocked out in pretty much no time. You know, boiled the wort as it's said to do. You know, mixed in the water and whatnot. This thing was really ridiculous easy. Like, we didn't have any hops to worry about because the wort is pre-hopped. So just got to add that water, you know, thin it out and make it available for the yeast to attack and turn into alcohol. So just real quick, the things that I took note of here. Starting gravity was 1.045, and the finishing gravity was 1.010 for a 4.5% ABV. After that, I mean, really the process of brewing, between the process of brewing and the process of the fermentation, it was pretty easy. So when it came to bottling day, I think it was like basically it was about basically 1 case of beer was available after fermentation was complete. I didn't get everything out of the fermenter because of the way that the yeast cake is and stuff in there, and I didn't want to, you know, have 3-4 bottles with a bunch of stuff in it. This is the IPA kit. Really and truthfully, I'm not trying to review the beer here. I just wanted to review the process and take note of things. So let's see how we did as far as fermentation and stuff went. So when it came to the carbonation, I had some of those carbonation drops that I put in the bottles, and I figured that was going to be the best way to carbonate these beers instead of getting out priming sugar and trying to divide it in half and all that other stuff, and then get the bottling bucket out and transfer and all this. Especially seeing as how it's an IPA, I was worried about oxidation. So here it is. Looks like it's got a really good amount of carbonation to it, so shouldn't really be any complaints there. It's dissipating fairly quickly. Looks like it's clean and clear as far as that goes. Didn't really have any water salts or anything like that to worry about. I did use RO water to boil and to top off the fermenter to the mark lines on it to get it to where it needed to be. So I think I've already had one of these before, and I've shared a few with some friends. And to me, as far as the beer goes, it made beer for sure. Is it an IPA? It's really hard for me to tell. I think I picked up some oxidation somewhere, so it kind of has this cardboard taste to it. I used the bottling wand attached to the fermenter and the spigot, so that way I wouldn't pick up any kind of oxygen in the beer. Now, who knows how long that kit was on that shelf. That thing could have been old. I didn't really look at the dates on there. I don't know if there are any dates on that can of extract or not. I don't know if maybe somehow the fermenter was able to seep in some oxygen, or if the oxygen is all my fault from bottle conditioning this beer. Outside of the oxidation, like I said, it made beer. Some of my friends seem to like it decently enough. I'm not the biggest fan of it personally, but there again, I'm not the biggest fan of IPAs, majority speaking. It does have some bitterness to it. But that oxidation is really off-putting to this beer for me. I even kind of get this weird green olive taste to it. That's interesting. I'm gonna have to ask some people that know a little bit more about fermentation, maybe temperatures, and see if maybe that was ester that the yeast put off. What yeast type it was, I have no idea. I don't know what they normally use. I would imagine it's probably something pretty close to US-05, but there again, I don't know that. So I've got some pretty cool plans for this fermenter. I've seen some people do some pretty cool things to it. I think Doing the Most, YouTube's channel, he had a complete series of where he basically used this same yeast about 4 or 5 times to make different things. He made a beer, and then he turned around and made a sizer and a few other type of alternative drinks out of it. I think he had to clean out the fermenter a few times and drain off some of that yeast cake to be able to do it. So I was looking at maybe trying to do something like that. I think maybe using this fermenter for some kind of secondary split batch approach would be pretty cool to do. So that's something along those lines is basically what I have planned for this thing. Other than that, like I said, I'm not really here to review the beer. It was just more of the process. I think for someone starting out for brewing, if you're curious, you don't want to wrap up that much money into brewing in general, that this is a decent kit to get started with at that price point. I was lucky enough to have some additional equipment and some other items that, all I really had invested into this was pretty much about the 25 or 30 bucks tops to make this for a 2.5 gallon worth of beer thereabouts. At the end of the day, an all grain brewer could probably do a 5 gallon batch for about that much for maybe a blonde ale or something like that, unless they have a few leftover items that would decrease the cost of a beer. But you would learn some of the very simple, basic processes. I really kind of feel like if it were me, this is my own personal preference and my own personal advice, so take that for what it's worth. But I really do feel like you would have better money spent on like a 5-gallon extract starter kit than you would this. You get a few more tools, you get a little bit more equipment. Again, this piece of equipment is something that I plan on reusing a few times, so I'm going to get my money's worth out of that. But I think you pick up a lot more knowledgeable stuff because of the tools that you're provided with a full extract kit. And I guess if the beer turns out good with a 5-gallon extract kit, you have more beer. If this thing turns out good, you only have 2.5 gallons of beer. If it turns out bad, you only have 2.5 gallons worth of beer. Full extract kit, 5 gallons. If it turns out bad, you have 5 gallons of bad beer. So, take those pros and cons for what they're worth. My opinion for what it's worth. But that's about all I got to say about it. So, thanks for joining us. Thanks for coming along. We appreciate it.